Good evening. Welcome to this evening's session. I see we have a good number of attendees arrived already. I'm going to take a moment to remind everybody that this session is being recorded. If you'd like to ask any questions, we will have a moment for questions at the end once you meet all our panelists. But you're going to feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Please remember to not share any personal information as this is going to be public. And you're also welcome to submit questions anonymously if you feel more comfortable with that. We will address as many questions as we can towards the end of the presentation. Thank you. I see that new people have arrived. I just want to remind everybody before we continue that this session is being recorded. And feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit any questions that you may have for our panelists. This session is entitled Raza, Resource Centro Triton Talk, Supporting the Latinx Student Experience. And we have incredible panelists with us today. I'm really excited to introduce first and foremost, Dr. Oscar Mena.
Hi, Roberta. Can I okay, I'll go ahead. So, my name is Oscar Vazquez. I'm from southern Mexico in the state of Chiapas. I grew up there with my, with our brothers from Central America. I did my undergrad in Mexico, and then I think I had the great opportunity to do an exchange. I had a chance to go abroad and going to Europe to do a master's. And I would say that definitely like going to college is one of the best decisions that I have taken in life, right? And that is something that I definitely want to share with the students who are like watching us. I really would say that going to major is kind of, going to college is perhaps one of the major points that in which you will feel that you're becoming an adult, right? It's a moment when you will start taking your own decisions and your fate is going to be mainly in your own hands, right? I guess, you know, before you're 18, probably most of what have happened to you in life, hopefully for good, has been sort of decided by your parents, right? Your parents mainly decided where do you live, and you know, what is your environment, and you know, you're really kind of depending on them. But when you take the decision to go to college, that is going to change your life, right? Because that's the moment when you decide, you know, I want to really make big things in life, and I want to take my own life and take my own decisions about what is the career that I would like to pursue, right? So going to college is definitely the first, well, for most of you, the first major decision that you will take in life. And definitely going to college is going to kind of change for sure the perspectives that you have in life, you know, especially if you're coming to a university like UC San Diego, you will meet people from all over the world, right? Asia, Africa, Europe, people that you never imagined that you would ever be able to meet. And not only that you're going to meet these people, you're going to be facing new ways of thinking, new ways of behaving, right? And I would say also you will kind of learn a lot about what is it to be a human being, right? For me, something that I always say is that when I was meeting people from Africa or Asia and realizing that just giving a good smile, being always thankful, that was the best way in which I could connect with people who would speak a different language, who would like dress very different from what I was, my way of dressing. So these kind of just kind of like very natural things, like how do you smile to people, how do you thank, and how do you greet people. I just realized how like even how people look different, we are all share the same humanity. So being at college, it was a great opportunity for me to meet people very different from me, but at the same time recognizing how much we share among different people. So college is definitely an experience that will like take you to a different level in the way you recognize diversity and how do you kind of recognize the world and humanity as an entire thing. I also want to stress that your college education is going to be a major asset for your entire life, okay? And this is something that I want to also tell to parents. I'm sure that you always want to give the best to your kids, and you know, it might go from trying to give them a, you know, if you can, a mobile phone, a super phone. I'm sure you will try to give them sometimes, if you can perhaps buy them, a car or any material thing. It's always something that parents are trying to give to their kids, right? However, there are very few things that you give to your kids that last for the entire life. And one of those is education, okay? The education that your kids will receive basically in college is gonna, I would say it's almost impossible that someone can take that away. Whatever you learn in college is gonna go with you for the rest of your life, and it's gonna empower you for the rest of your life and give you confidence again for the rest of your life. I never seen, honestly, anyone just being taken away from what they learn in college, right? So that's a very important thing, that whatever you do, whatever you learn in college, that's gonna stick with you for the rest of your life, and it's gonna empower your life, okay? And I would say not only your life, but the life of your entire family, okay? I mean, if you go to college, the chances that your children will go to college are also going to be much more, are going to be way much better, right? So I would say, like, especially for those of you who are the first generation, if you want to kind of change the dynamics of in your entire family, go to college. And again, for the parents, I can tell you, if you look ahead for your grandchildren, send your children send your child to college, and you will see that the next generations of your family, they will have an entire different life with much better perspectives, with much more empowerment about what they can do and what they can achieve in life. Okay, and if I just go to the next slide quickly, if I may, please. I just want to show you like all the kind of things that I was able to do just because I decided to go to college. I can study nanotechnology. That is something that I didn't know about it, but I discovered in going to college, right? So I was like, I kind of get to know so many things also about myself. You can see there me as myself in the center doing Aztec dance. So being in Mexico, I didn't know how rich was my own culture. And just going to college, I found this group who was doing Aztec dance, and I just loved something that I didn't know before. And I just feel so realized about kind of like honoring my ancestors, right? And that was just like the chance, because I was in college, and college is an amazing place where you have so many cultural things going on. And also, it's a place where I can give back to my community. So in that picture on the top, I'm with Professor Sammy, visiting a school in Imperial Valley, right? So giving away to all these kids with whom I share my blood, because we belong to the same culture, it just has empowered me to feel that I can do so much for my culture. And then going to college is it's not just a selfish merit that I feel, but it's an opportunity for me to give to my community, right? And this is something that college gave me, right? So college kind of empowered me to realize my own dreams and give those dreams also away to my community. So this is basically what I want to share with you, and why I think going to college is the best decision that you can take at this moment in your life. Thank you so much, Roberta, and I pass the day to the next speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Oscar Mena, Vazquez Mena. Again, let me introduce myself. I always rush to go forward, but I'm going to take a little moment to let you know who it is that's speaking to you. My name is Roberta Camarena, and I'm Assistant Director of Admissions, Diversity Recruitment. And again, I'd like to welcome you all here. If there's somebody who needs translation, si hay una persona que requiere traducción en español, en el chat hay un mensaje para ustedes si gustan y desean recibir la traducción en español. Gracias. And we'll continue our program. And I'd like to introduce Luis Legaspi to speak to you.
Gracias, Roberta. Hola, hola. Buenas tardes. My name is Luis Legaspi. My gender pronouns are he, him, his, and él en español. I'm a study abroad advisor at UC San Diego. I primarily support students interested in studying abroad. So I definitely encourage you to do what Oscar did and studying around the world. I want to share a little bit about some of the resources and services that I help Latinx students and students who attend UC San Diego. I studied at UC Davis. I didn't go to UC San Diego, yet I am now as a proud Triton who's been working here for 6 years. I think it's an exceptional institution where there are many kind, compassionate, and understanding staff, professionals, faculty, and your peers who you can study with that make a really impressive opportunity as you decide where you would like to go to college. When I studied abroad, when I was at Davis, I talked to my mom. I was raised in a single family household, and I'll say it in Spanish. I asked my mom when I was going to study abroad in Australia for a year. I was the first in my family to go to college, and I said, "Mamá, voy a ir a Australia por un año." To which she responded, "Pero quién te va a dar tortillas?" And I thought that this was comical. It was funny because I couldn't believe that my mom was concerned about whether I would have a daily intake of corn. And then I realized that she, like many parents, was concerned about my safety, my well-being. And she was right. When I got to Australia, there was no tortillas. They were really expensive. And so I studied in Australia for a year. I'm now excited that after 3 study abroads and graduating from UC Davis in a degree with textiles with an emphasis in marketing, that I get to promote global education at UC San Diego. And I work with passionate, intelligent students like yourselves to think about how they can participate in programs like study abroad that can enhance their academic, personal, and professional goals. And so how I support students at UC San Diego in multiple ways. In advising, I take a holistic approach. I take a developmental approach in advising, trying to talk to you all as students about who you are at the core, what kind of excites you, what are you nervous about, where do you come from? Like, our families are very important things. Like, my family was an important contributor to me studying at the college level and then going abroad 3 times. And so I really bring in the holistic approach and really wanting to bring in cultural approaches to understand where does our raza, where does our culture support us, where might we have additional challenges, and how do we work with it? Instead of looking at it as challenges, I really want to encourage us all to be empowered and find those opportunities. So I'm fortunate that as a queer Latinx person, I work with some of the most phenomenal workers at the university that empower you all as students to think about what can you do at UC San Diego. I think it's going to college, like Oscar is mentioning, is an opportunity to engage with a lot of different resources, a lot of opportunities. So I work very closely with different centers, different professionals to help you find opportunities on whether it's about studying abroad, if it's research, if it's internship. Universities like UC San Diego are exceptional, not only because of their academics, but the amount of resources and attention that the entire university wants to put forward to you all as students. And I would say that wherever you decide to go, you want to look for an institution that gives you those opportunities. Some of the things that I really have enjoyed while working at UC San Diego, I'm looking at my notes, is facilitating a coming out group. As a queer Latinx person, I work a lot with students to kind of make sense of their own ideas around gender, sexual orientation, and that's been really wonderful. I also have been very active in the staff association because I think in order to support you students, we have to also support and empower the staff, especially the staff that identify as Latinx, to make sure that we who are most excited and interested in supporting your éxito, your success at UC San Diego, is that we're also supported and we're also thriving, because many of you will come to us and will want to talk to us, whether it's because some of us may speak the same language or we have similar upbringings. And so it's a really wonderful opportunity to connect on many different levels. And then I also want to talk about just really encouraging you all to take advantage of institutions that give you high levels of contact, whether it's with staff, with faculty, the instructors that you're going to be taught with, wonderful folks like Oscar who are committed to your success at the university and your academics, and then people like myself who are committed to serving you and supporting you throughout the entire time. And to the families, the parents, the grandparents, the tias, the tios who are on this call, find an institution like UC San Diego who is committed to the excellence of the Latinx population and who are really interested in finding ways to build community so that when your student goes away for college, they have a familia, they have a network that can support them. And so I'll continue to talk to you all about other things that I can empower you all and help you with. And I'm excited to say thank you for allowing me to speak with you all.
Thank you, Luis. We're in a really awesome place right now to be able to have Oscar and Luis join us. And I am extremely excited to also now introduce Kimberly and let her introduce herself to you. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you, Roberta. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Buenas tardes. My name is Kimberly Rodriguez Jimenez. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I also respond or answer to the Spanish pronoun ella. I am the office manager for the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program. Just a little bit about myself. I am a UC San Diego alumni. I graduated back in 2017, so not too long ago, but still feels like time has flown by really, really fast. Just a little bit more about myself. So I am a first generation college student. I am also a first generation US citizen. Both of my parents are from Tijuana in Baja California, Mexico. So I was raised both in Tijuana and here in San Diego, in Chula Vista specifically. Being a first generation low income student was definitely quite the journey, to say the least. My family was always very supportive of me investing in my education, in the sense that for me, college was always something that they believed that I would do, and something that was just, yeah, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna go to university, just because they did not have that opportunity, just because of the way their situation was specifically. So for them, it was really important for me to invest in my education, similar to how Professor Mena said, for them, investing in my education just provided me with a brighter future. However, that did give me the situation where I had to learn how to get there by myself, because I didn't necessarily know how college worked or how to get there. So really just kind of doing my own research in regards to just what people would say of like, oh yeah, apply to this, make sure you fill out this form, make sure you submit things on time. Thankfully, I did have a lot of support during my high school time, and eventually I was fortunate enough to receive admission at UC San Diego. To be honest, I accepted the admission at UC San Diego because it was closer to home. It was a good enough distance for me to feel like I could open up and become my own individual by living on campus and interacting with new people and have more opportunities, but still also have that feeling of home and feel like if for some reason things got really tough, I had my family, my comunidad there for me to really just support me when things got really tough. Similar to how Luis and Dr. Mena had mentioned, I feel like I have found a very strong supportive community at UC San Diego, definitely when I was an undergrad, and I still feel like I have that community as a professional staff member as well. I was a part of the Oasis Summer Bridge program, so that is a summer program that's offered to first year students before they start their fall quarter at UC San Diego, where really I just met some of the most amazing people I could ever think about. I was able to not only gain mentors who helped me in my transition into UC San Diego and just what the college life was, but also just build my network and feel like I truly was at home, like I wasn't alone and I didn't have to navigate what college was by myself. I had people that were there to support me, and not only that, but believed in me as well. Eventually, from one place to another, I was able to have so many opportunities to eventually end up in the place where I'm at. My current position with the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program. So for some of y'all who don't know, the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program is a support program offered to students who are given the Chancellor's Associate Scholarship. We work with a specific set of partnership schools across the UC San Diego area, as well as just the entire California population. We work with both first years and transfer students. The way that I kind of got into this position was that I actually worked in the office when I was an undergrad. I was during my senior year. I was about to graduate. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And my supervisor, who's currently my boss, her name is Brindan Samacona, was just a warrior and really an advocate for my success and has supported me throughout my entire journey, both in undergrad and now as a professional staff member. Just kind of said like, hey, why don't you apply to this position? We're opening it up. I think you'd be great. Just give it a shot. And I did. And thankfully I was able to get the job that I have right now. And I'm so thankful just because, again, I've had so many mentors and so many people that have supported me and advocated for my success and you know, really been there throughout my entire journey. And now I feel like I get to be a part of that for a lot of students. So a couple of pictures that you see right here are in the left-hand side. It's one of my students who I actually worked with. Her name is Jeanette Peña, and she's now also a professional staff member here at UC San Diego. So now she's my coworker. So it's always really nice to see how a lot of people who were both my students and people who saw me as a mentor and as a guide have told me how much I've impacted their journey here as well. Getting to see a lot of students graduate and really develop as individuals has been a very just privileged position I get to be in. And I really feel like that makes me enjoy my day-to-day job a lot more. So yeah, it's a little bit about myself. I just love working with students. I feel like so many people have invested in me, and I just want to continue to invest in others as well, just to be thankful for all my opportunities. So definitely thank you all for being here and for just letting me be part of your journey as well.
Thank you, Kimberly. That's super sweet wishes and endearing. And I'm 100% sure that you will keep that promise should these students reach out to you. Talking about students, we do have an incredible scholar with us today, and I'd like to introduce to Ivan so that he can introduce himself. Ivan, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, perdón. Hi, everyone. So my name is Ivan Reina. I'm the intern for the Resource Centro. I'm the program assistant. I'm a fourth year. I'm an upcoming fourth year, and where do you even start with that? The years have come by so fast, and honestly, one word of advice I would tell to these upcoming students if they choose to come into UCSD is take your time with it and like be aware of what you're gonna take and just know that the years pass on by. And thank you, Michelle. I got them for my sister, the earrings. So I was born in Riverside, California. I lived in San Diego most of my life. I'm basically a border baby. I live right next to the border. I've always lived right next to the border. So I knew when I was going into UCSD, it was gonna definitely be a culture shock because there's not a lot of like folks that look like me or identify like me. So I knew that that was gonna be a challenge. But I remember my mom telling me that she wasn't gonna worry about me having any social type of issues, although that's not the case for other students. At least for me, like I tend to be an extroverted type of student. So I really like to talk to people. I really like to get to know who is around me and like what type of environment I'm gonna be getting into. Especially at a place like UCSD, I was very like vocal when it came to living on campus as my first year. I got to know those around me. So that would be another word of advice is like, if you're going to be living or visiting UCSD, try your best to getting to know those around you because that's basically a start on networking as your first year. And then that could possibly land you a job. For example, I landed this job because I got to know someone my first year because throughout the years they worked through the Raza Resource Centro. So now I'm here as a fourth year. So it's pretty cool because you never know. In the next few years, they could be your boss or your supervisor or a student worker with you. But yeah, I identify as he, him, his. I'm a fourth year marine bio major. I plan to try and attend veterinary school. I'm planning on applying my like around 2022. I'm a gay first generation college student who is bilingual and identify as gender fluid. What else is there to say? I know for a fact that when I was going to UCSD that I was gonna have some trouble getting to know other people that might look and think like me. But thankfully, when I was walking through the halls one day and I saw the words Raza Resource Center, I was like, Raza, I know that word. It's a Spanish word. So when I walked in, the first thing that I felt was comfort because when I looked to my sides and I saw like people that look like me, talk like me, or even like sort of sound like me, it felt like a home away from home. So I would definitely say that having that type of support when it came to walking through those doors, just by even seeing it and like not even like interacting yet, I knew that I was going to be very comfortable at this school just because I could be in a place where I could call a second home. And that's just one part of the resource centro. Like a second part would be just getting to know the staff. I would definitely say that by just getting to know the staff, they definitely gave me a huge amount of support when it came to me being as a student and the identities that I shared. just because they like led me to other specialists that could help me and support me through my UCSD journey. For example, the Raza Resource Centro gives us a graduate learning specialist. Those specialists specialize in specific areas. For example, there's the, just to shorten it down, there's like the English specialist, there's like the math specialist, or there's like the biology specialist. So there's a specific specialist for a specific student. So for me, I went with Martin, one of our graduate specialists that helped me and introduced me into the MSBS program, which is a continuous program for my major, which is marine biology. And through that, I started reaching out to my SIO, Scripps Institutional Oceanography Advisor, and he actually led me to meeting other veterinary folks that have already made it, where I've been a student, who have been trying to apply to grad school. So going into the Raza Resource Centro, it's all about networking, and you're doing it unconsciously when you're just getting to know people and just saying hello, even if it's through a camera. I would say there's many ways of networking. Even if there's a pandemic on our hands, you can definitely do it through person, through text, through email, through Zoom, like we're doing right now with each other. So I would say to the students that are thinking about coming to UCSD, don't be afraid to try, because you never know if the next person might lend you a hand and just see something in you. Because I know that when I was walking through the Raza Resource Centro, the folks around there in that community saw something in me. And I definitely felt that through them, I've been so supported throughout this pandemic and even before. So I'm definitely very thankful for that second familia that I was able to form away from home. And yeah.
Thank you, Ivan. That was wonderful. So at this point, we're going to move on to see if you have any questions. I'd like you to refer to the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen and type away any questions that you might have. We do request that you not include any personal information, since this will become a public recording that's going to be available for others to view at a later date. But you can also submit questions anonymously should you choose. We'll address as many questions as we can before the evening's over. And all our panelists are going to turn on their cameras so that you can see everybody who's here. And just as a brief reminder, Dr. Oscar Vazquez Mena is a professor in nanoengineering. Luis Legaspi is in our international, I can't remember the total title, but a study abroad office, study abroad advisor. And we have Kimberly, who works in our CASP office as the office manager. And we have Ivan, who is an intern at the Raza Resource Centro. So if you have, I see a question already popping up, which is exciting. Which colleges for marine biology from the 7 colleges at UC San Diego? And I'll actually answer that because I am an assistant director of admissions, diversity recruitment, and there is no one college. You can actually choose any college that you'd like and combine it with any major offered here at UC San Diego. So be confident as you start to look into those colleges, as you start completing your application, to rank the colleges by preference, regardless of whatever your major is. And I'll let Ivan answer this one. The question is, what are some events that the Raza Resource Centro that they organize?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for that amazing question. So one that just came up right now is the usual celebration, annual celebration that we have is the Dia de los Muertos. We usually have an altar set up. We usually have folks come in and take pictures, just celebrate and getting to know the overall meaning of the day and the purpose and why we do it and why it's important for some of us. I know that last year we were trying to do some sugar skulls when I was just a student, like going into the Centro. But unfortunately this year we're just trying to post as much as we can about it virtually. But that's one event. Honestly, when it comes to having any type of event or program that we're trying to set up, it's really up to the interns what we want to put out for our students, what we feel like would benefit them. So we always want to do something that's engaging for our community around this. For example, we would also have study jams during midterms and finals, which is very important just because it's good to have fun in college, but it's also really fun to pass your classes. So that's definitely one of the best organized events that we have, we also usually would have provided them Subway or Panda Express or like any other yummy food that we got approved for. So that's something, at least that was one of my favorite events just because of the free food. So that's definitely one of the fun events we would have is our study jams. And maybe Claudia has any other event that I missed that she would like to highlight. But as for now, I remember the Dia de los Muertos event and the study jams that we would have. And there's Claudia.
Hi, sorry, my lighting's kind of bad. But I did want to highlight that the Centro puts together the Chicana.
Claudia, I'm sorry. Can you take a moment just to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi, y'all. My name is Claudia Martinez. I am the assistant director at the Raza Resource Centro, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I'm also a first generation student, actually. So definitely resonate with what my colleagues are saying. The Centro hosts the Chicanx Latinx graduation every year. You can literally Google UCSD Child graduation and you will find the videos on YouTube. They're accessible for you all to see. And it is definitely the highlight of the year because we know that when a Latinx student graduates, it's not just a student, it's the entire family graduating. We know that you want to bring, your tío, your tía, la abuela, la vecina. So we don't do tickets. We don't limit how many people you bring. The graduation is also 100% bilingual so that you don't have to interpret for your family members. I am literally the person who's interpreting at the mic. And so that's always a highlight for our students because it resonates that UCSD sees them, right? And that the UCSD recognizes their academic achievement. And so I definitely encourage folks to just literally Google it.
Thank you, Claudia. And I have a question for Luis. Luis, can a student study abroad even if they don't speak the language of the country that they're going to?
Great question. There are many programs for students that are fully taught in English, irrelevant of whether the country observes a different language as their dominant language. So that's very common since English has become a very dominant language. And then you can also use that as the criteria. So sometimes we have to tell you, hey, this country really only teaches in, like, let's say you want to go to, I don't know, France is very common to mostly teach in French in most other cities outside of Paris. And so then we can coach you to be like, are you going to study the 2 years of French or whatever the language, Chinese, Spanish, Korean? And then some of you will say, I don't have the time. And so then we'll look for alternative programs, hopefully within the same city or country. So you get to drive and then we coach you through the entire experience to see like, what are the factors that might not allow you to participate in that particular program, but you may be able to participate in other programs and still get to go to the country you want to go to.
Thank you. And there's a question. What if you're a second generation college student? Does it lessen your chances of getting in? Absolutely not. Remember that UC San Diego looks at every aspect of a student application to determine there's no one single factor that determines your admission to UC San Diego. And with regards to the departments, I know that Dr. Oscar is first generation, but I'm sure that he has a lot of second, third, fourth generation students in nanoengineering. And what do you think, Dr. Oscar? Do you see only first generation students in nanoengineering? Do you see both?
Both, definitely. And that's why it's so rich, because you really interact with people with so many different backgrounds. So that is not at all a limitation, I would say. Thanks.
And another question for you, Luis. What are some popular study abroad locations?
You all as students go everywhere. The UCSD, the trends at UC San Diego are the top countries that most students participate. So we send approximately 1,000 students every year. And in those countries, the top countries that most students will participate are France, Italy, Spain, the UK, Japan, and South Korea. Hong Kong also places pretty high. So students go to a lot of different countries, and then of course their cities. But we at UC San Diego, one thing that is pretty unique to UC San Diego is we allow you to go almost anywhere. As long as there's no travel advisory, we support you. And so we send students all around the world, including Antarctica. So it's really kind of driven by you. And I would invite all of you to check out our website, studyabroad.ucsd.edu. Next week, we actually have our Study Abroad Expo. It's primarily for UC San Diego students or students within the UC. but you should just jump on and check out the live events because you want to see what kind of programs are available to you by participating and being a student at UC San Diego. So I would invite you all to look at the program to see what kind of countries and locations you can participate in, because it's pretty exciting.
Roberta, may I add a little bit to
Yes,
this?
please.
Don't be afraid to go to a place where you don't fully speak the language, or not at all. I was in Mexico, my English was really poor, and I still went to Sweden. And it was just like a really amazing experience, how I can like communicate feelings and share like stuff with other people, even if you don't have the same language. That was an amazing experience, and you will learn a lot about yourself and how to communicate and respect other people.
Thank you. There was another question here. Are some colleges more diverse than others? And I know that Kimberly and Cass works with students across all the colleges. So I'd like Kimberly, if you could take that question, please, not only as an alum, but also working in the CASP office.
Yeah, definitely. So just a little bit more about myself. So how I mentioned, I was a UCSD alum. I was in Revelle College. I also started as a marine biology major, but that changed quickly because it wasn't for me. I still love marine biology and animals and all that thing, but I realized that I had other passions that I wanted to develop as well. But I can definitely say that just my first day in college, I met people from just everywhere, different backgrounds, different ages as well, because I was interacting with like transfer students who were maybe like, maybe like the early mid 20s up until, people who had like children and things like that. So even just like age, people that were coming from like the East Coast, people that were directly coming from like Mexico, Canada, people that were studying abroad here as well from like other countries. So there is definitely a lot of diversity within your college as well, because like how Roberta mentioned, you do have different students who maybe they're in a Revelle, but they're in theater, or they're in sociology, or they're an engineer, or they're in a biology, or somebody who just wants to do interpretive dance, whatever it may be. So you really do get exposed to a lot of individuals, especially more so if you do have the opportunity to live on campus. I know that may not be an option for everyone. And then also given our current situation with COVID and, staying at home and just lessening our exposure to other people, completely understandable. But at least for me, the opportunity to live on campus it facilitated it, but I know there's definitely opportunities right now to connect with people virtually as well, similar to how we have this presentation right now and you're getting to meet people from across the university and we're all kind of just in one room together. So I definitely say there is a lot of diversity and you get a lot of exposure. For me, the biggest one was food. My main diet when I was back at home was just Mexican food, typical like enchiladas, sopes, the usual. And when I came to college, it was the first time I tried sushi, first time I tried pho, first time I tried Indian food. Just food for me was a big thing to learn about other people's cultures as well. So that for me was just another way to open my eyes to diverse backgrounds as well. Ivan, I don't know, maybe you want to share your experience right now because you're currently a student.
Thank you for that, Kimberly. And just like Kimberly, I was exposed to all types of foods as well. But I feel like growing up, I also was exposed to a lot of foods. For example, the first thing that I think I tried at UCSD that was new to me was, what was it? I can't specifically remember what it was. It's an Indian dish that they used to serve at PC, but basically you're exposed to all types of foods when it comes to UCSD, and especially if you're living with someone that's living in the apartments, you're allowed a little kitchen. So I had friends from like Saudi Arabia, France, Russia that would just like cook their own little dishes. So definitely when you make friends, they expose you to their culture, and that's what I loved about UCSD is just getting to know their culture, bonding, and the way that they think when it came to academics, just because it gives me a new perspective on how to approach school, especially in UCSD. It helped me a lot, just getting to know like how they think, and then them getting to know how I think. It was kind of a balance on like how to succeed as a student, coming from all types of ways or perspectives.
Thank you, Ivan. Kimberly, I'm going to come right back at you again. Somebody asked a question about the Chancellor's Associate Scholarship Program. What exactly is that?
Yeah, definitely. So the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program, different from the Chancellor's Scholarship. So there's two. So I work with the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program, is a support program that goes along with the Chancellor's Associate Scholarship. The scholarship itself is awarded through enrollment management, which is compromised from undergraduate admissions to how Roberta is where she works, and the financial aid and scholarship office. It's offered to students who are high academic achieving, show that they have high financial need, and there is a couple of criteria that go along to be able to qualify for the scholarship, but just right off the top of my head, students do need to be California residents. Majority of our students are part of partnership schools, so we work with different partnership high schools and partnership community colleges. So off the top of my head, some of the high schools I work with are with Gombers Preparatory Academy, the Proi School at the UC San Diego campus, Lincoln High School, Morse High School, E3 Civic, and there's a couple of other ones. I know I'm missing one for sure. And then three of the community colleges that we work with are San Diego City College, Southwestern College, and Imperial Valley College over in the El Centro area. So we work with a variety of students, diverse backgrounds. We also have students who are eligible for the scholarship that aren't directly part of our partnership schools. There's a different process with that as well. But basically what happens is that my office, we work with you all throughout your entire time at UC San Diego. So the scholarship is offered for 4 years for incoming first years and 2 years for incoming transfer students. Let's say, for example, we have a transfer student who is at UC San Diego for 3 years, and so they'll only receive the scholarship for 2 years, but they continue to work with my office, and we continue to work with them up until they graduate or they decide to leave the university, because life happens, and we completely understand, and we support our students 100% in whatever process they need to take. So that's a little bit about my office, what we work with. We do a lot of peer mentorship, a lot of academic support, financial support, peer guidance. If students want to come and talk to me about their grades, if they want to come to talk to me about how they had a bad week, if they want to come and talk to me and be like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I love those conversations because I've had them before, and I know how important and how valuable those conversations are, because aside from being a student, you're a person first. So I want to make sure that you're okay so that you're doing well in your classes. So yeah, I think we love working with all our students. I definitely encourage people that even if you don't receive the scholarship, to definitely come and reach out to our office. We do have a lot of student employment opportunities, and a lot of our employees aren't necessarily part of the scholarship program. Like I worked with CASP and I wasn't a CASP student, but I was able to network there and meet a lot of people and just also be part of that journey as well. So even if you don't get the scholarship, I definitely encourage you all to check us out, because I'm probably biased, but I love my office. I love where I work. So I would say like definitely come and check us out, and like we're here to help in whatever way we can.
And I don't know the answer to this question, but there's a question on here asking if the indigenous languages local to Mexico are taught, or is anybody familiar with anything like that? Maybe in a club or an organization or anything like that across the campus? No, I'll go ahead and place our linguistics information for our catalog on there, and maybe that could help and guide you. But we're really getting close to time here. So I'd like one last question being answered from each of our panelists in 30 seconds or less. What has been the major change for you as a supporter for students or as a student yourself through this COVID environment? And what do you suggest for those who find themselves, you know, in this situation? You know, I'll make it easier. How, what did you learn from COVID? Like, what is your takeaway in this environment? Maybe something that turned out to be positive for you in this environment. Yvonne, you can start.
Okay, so definitely one thing I want to emphasize is the way that I'm studying now. So for example, before I used to be very physically present in the classroom, and now I can easily get distracted when it comes to virtual because everything's recorded or everything's just handed to us virtually. Definitely, I would like to emphasize that once coming into college or the COVID area here in UCSD is definitely check your emails often. That's one thing I really want to tell students, and that to check your assignments as soon as they're due or before they're due, just because professors can either give you an extra day or cut you an extra day. So it's not like high school where you have a set day and professors are giving you the homework. It's you mainly hands-on 24/7 doing it. And also, it's really important just to mentally give yourself breaks just because you're sitting on a computer for so many hours. So that's definitely different. When I was on campus, it was always moving around, and I kind of loved that because I would get a bit of fresh air before my 15-minute class was about to start from this other class that I was already taking. So definitely giving yourself mental breaks and snack breaks is very helpful when it comes to being a student, just because it keeps your mind going, and especially after you're already going at it for 3 hours, you want to give yourself maybe an hour, 30 minutes, just because then you can better retain the information. So also remember to take care of yourself when it comes to being online, just because we tend to just ponerlo al último, or putting it aside until maybe the day of, which is really bad. Maybe some people worked under pressure, maybe some others don't, but definitely give yourself time because it can get hard. So just know that it's not like high school, but it doesn't mean that's impossible. Just give it your best, and we will. Si se puede.
Si se puede. Okay, that's a perfect ending, actually. Si se puede. And we're at time. Thank you, panelists. You're all incredible and amazing, and thank you for sharing your insight.